Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome, ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Yaqut Zaman. Let me just go on Instagram as well so that these guys can see as well. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to everyone. I hope all of you guys are having a fantastic Ramadan. We are at the end of Ramadan now. The last week of Ramadan is left, and everyone's feeling down now that the month is going to end, and that's it. But inshallah, we're going to carry on, inshallah, with the live streams. Everything's going to go back to normal as it was before Ramadan, and timings are going to change as well. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, enjoying yourselves. This time, so this is the last week I'm going to be doing live stream at 4 p.m. Right, so this is 4 p.m. live stream last week, inshallah. From next week might be Eid, so next week there won't be any live stream, right? But after that, inshallah, there's going to be live stream, inshallah. So live streams will continue the week following, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Very good. Thank you very much for asking. Very, very alhamdulillah. I have been benefiting a lot from Ramadan this year, mashallah. Especially making the videos on the Quran. I don't know if you've seen the videos on the summary of the Quran. But alhamdulillah, I've benefited extreme, like a lot in those. Purple plants, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brug, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, ahlan wa sahlan. أحدث عمرو بن محي في الحيوانات من التعظيم والتسييب والتحريم ما لم يأذن به الله. What type of min is this? What is it used for? أحدث عمرو بن محي في الحيوانات من التعظيم. This is min bayaniya. Min bayaniya. Bayan. Right. My Imam prayed Salat al-Ghaib yesterday. Is this allowed? So according to the Shafis and other madhabs, they allow it. Yeah. Salat al-Ghaib is basically where someone passes away and remotely you pray their janazah. So the Hanafis don't allow it, but other madhabs do. OT wa alaikum assalam. Any books to learn Hanafi fiqh of business in depth, preferably English first and Arabic? I would suggest if you really want to, there's two books I would definitely, two books I would definitely recommend to you. Number one is a book called Islamic Finance by Mufti Taqi Uthmani. So Mufti Taqi Uthmani, Islamic Finance, that's the first book. The second book is a translation of a section from a book called Al-Fiqh al-Islami wa Adillatu. I've got it over here. This is a really good book. This one. Sheikh Wahab al-Zuhayli's. So basically it's a translation of his works. Yeah, so it's a really good. It's 2 volumes. It's quite big. Right? It's quite extensive. But definitely I would encourage, if anyone wants to really kind of get into these, start with this, inshallah. Purple plants. Do you have any advice on how to make dua less mechanical and more exciting? I feel my night routine make dua in your own language, and basically, you know, I would say, look, you know, in your duas, there's a trend now in duas where people are simply just memorizing a list of things that they've heard people say you should ask for, and they're just making those. This does not seem like the way of the Sahaba. What a dua is supposed to be is something you really want in life. Just think about, brainstorm it for yourself. Get a piece of paper, get a pen, and just brainstorm all the things in your life that you want. Think about your future. Like, think about in 10 years' time, where do I want to be in life? And all the things that you think you need for that, to be able to reach that. That's how you're going to ask. So, for example, I'm just giving an example of what you might want to ask. You might want to ask, if you're not married, you might want to ask for Allah make marriage easy for you. You might want to ask for pious children. You might want to ask for halal income. You might want to ask for opportunities to be able to serve the deen. You might want to ask for being set. Obviously, this is for dunya things I'm talking about. Akhirah things, there's like, you know, the standard things. You want to ask for Jannah. You want to ask for entry into paradise without any account, etc. Yes, I would say make your du'as personal. Personal du'as are the best thing. If you make your du'as like people have a list of du'as, and I know there's a lot of scholars out there who have a whole list that you memorize. I'm not into that kind of stuff, because it just makes dua, it just makes it more robotic. It makes it a bit like childish. Like this is how children, you teach them what to say in the du'as and they say it. I don't think that's the way that we should be making our own du'as that we need, and obviously using what the Prophet ﷺ has passed down to us as a kind of a framework of how to make dua. Muhammad Mullah wa alaikum assalam, my brother Mullah. What's happening, bro? Jazakallah khair for those lovely cookies, mashallah. Those were so filling. Whoa. Jazakallah khair, mashallah. And I also gave those cookies out after Taraweeh as well. So after Taraweeh on that day, I also gave it to the guys, mashallah. I ate some, alhamdulillah, really, really nice. Mashallah khair. Yusuf Tariq Sab, wa alaikum assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan. May Allah bless you, my brother. Loving you for some reason. Inshallah, my brother. Inshallah, after Ramadan, we got to meet up as usual. Our usual meetup. Aqil wa alaikum assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan. I'm very good. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. Sana, I wanted to ask if someone misses a few fasts due to their mental health being poor, for example, due to personal reasons in marriage, does the person need to do qada or kafara? Just qada. Just make up the number of qadas, inshallah. No kafara. How often do you upload Qatr Nada videos onto your Patreon, and how much of the book have you got through? So I think I've reached somewhere like about 45 videos. I've done 45, 46, maybe 46. We've reached up to probably a third of it, a third of the book. Yeah, probably a third. Yeah, almost up to. I think it's almost up to the file section. Yusha said, could you explain and how much you put up on Patreon? And Patreon, I think I probably put up once, maybe a month, once every 2 months. At the moment, it's been a bit slow. Could you explain what min bayani is? It's a kind of confusing because it means alladhi huwa, but in the sentence I gave, there's no ism before min. So min bayaniya basically means like if you were to take it out the way, this is the way to recognize it. If you were to take min out of it, it would either become a file or it would become a maf'ul bihi or something of that nature. Yeah. So if you take out the, like if, for example, if I say ra'aytu رأيت جمعا من الطلبة رأيت الطلبة رأيت الطلبة. So you take the min away, you have طلبة there. or جاء من الطلبة إلى بيتي. So من الطلبة, you take the min away, it becomes a file. Can we, if you watch my video on min, I've actually explained in min the different types of min in my videos on min. Could you explain? Can we do sajda tilawa after we have prayed Fajr and Asr? Yes, you can. If you have read the ayah at that time, you do it. If you haven't read the ayah at that time, then you should delay afterwards. Be good. Ahla wa sahla. Welcome. Okay, let's check these. If a person joins after Isha Fard in Taraweeh, what must he do? Pray your Isha and then join the Taraweeh. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Hope your Ramadan as well. Jazakallah khair. Is it true that babies see angels? I have no idea. I've never come across this, any hadith or any ayah. I think our moms make that up. Is there any mandatory dua for itikaf? I have joined itikaf at the beginning 21 nights, Maghrib Azan. 21 nights. Saint night. As long as you were there before sunset. Yeah, as long as you were there before sunset, then it's fine. If you came after sunset, then that day of itikaf is not done. Okay, right. Does Balagh al-Maram or Bulugh al-Maram, you mean, have chains of narrations? No, Bulugh al-Maram does not have chains. It just has the hadith. I think I've solved the mystery of Muhammad Fadl Samurai and Fadl Salih as-Samurai. The former one seems to be son of the later. Is it? Interesting. In a YouTube video, Muhammad Fadl refers to Fadl Salih by Walidi. So An-Nahu al-Arabi is not the legend himself. Ajib. Never knew that. Interesting. Irfan B. Wa alaikum assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan. I hope you're well, inshallah. Also in the sentence, can you tell me if you know of Allama Abdul Hayy Laknawi? There's different scholars with the same name. So the Abdul Hayy Laknawi, who has written Si'aya and has written um, many Rasail as well. Um, then yeah, Rafu Takmil. Yeah. So I know that one. I don't know about any other one. Why is finding a spouse so difficult? I have no idea. Good question. Anybody got answer? I've come across popular Muslim charity which has been under scrutiny due to the accounts and donations being put in the pockets of trustee. Evidence was shared on Twitter. How do you spend your time after Taraweeh and before Fajr during the last 10 days? I usually go to sleep. As in, I don't spend the whole night in Ibadah. I'll do some Ibadah, I'll go to sleep, and then at Suhoor Sahri time, I'll do some Ibadah at that time. Yeah, I won't spend the whole night. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that when one of you worships Allah, he should worship Allah with rigor, with energy. And when one of you feels tired, should go to sleep. Yeah, and this is the best way to maximize. Otherwise, if you exhaust yourself, then you get tired of worshipping Allah. You don't get that enjoyment. I've come across a popular Muslim. Okay, done that one. Glad you and the brothers enjoyed. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah. Really like them. Tell me the best book for learning Arabic talking. I have no idea. I don't know the best one because I haven't tried. I haven't done like a survey of which ones are the best. If I scratch my scalp and catch, the best thing to learn Arabic talking is to talk to people. That is the best way. You have to engage with it. There's several books that I've used for teaching Arabic. It all depends upon how the teacher teaches, honestly. There's no book that will make a person. If I scratch my scalp and catch small spots with some fluid content, will my wudu get broken? If the soft content gets under my nails, I'd ignore it. I think you're a waswasa person. So if you're a waswasa person, ignore it totally. Is there a concept in Hanafi fiqh that if you repeatedly break fast for the same reason, then it becomes a kafara? I think it's mentioned. If you can bring the text, inshallah, I can look into it, inshallah. What do people do if they are sponsoring orphans, for example, with this charity? It's hard for them because they don't want to leave the orphans, but also knowing that the charity isn't honest. You know, a lot of, unfortunately, I think people there's a lot of people that get into charities and start up charities, and they don't really have the knowledge of Islam. They don't have knowledge of zakat. They don't have. I've seen, unfortunately, a lot of times, and they are not distributing the zakat properly. Right, this is unfortunately a sad situation. If you are in a situation where you have started something, I would say, and it's a long-term thing with the particular orphan, carry on donating towards that orphan, but make sure you know that if the zakat is being distributed correctly. If it's not being distributed correctly, stop and ask them if you can have maybe details of the orphan through another organization, and you can do, because what usually happens is, charity organization in the UK, they have they don't have their branches in different countries. What they have is they'll have a partner in that particular country, a charity partner in that country. So let's say it's Yemen. In Yemen, there's a partner company organization, and you give your money here. They will have connections with them. They pay them, so you don't see behind the scenes. They'll pay them for their services, and then they'll distribute that money. So that's why you don't see a lot. If you go to a charity organization, speak to them about how things work. They'll tell you. Some charities do have already established their own workers on the ground, and that's good, that is, because then there's transparency. But a lot of charities, when something happened, like in Turkey, there's an earthquake, not every charity can go there and distribute. You have to have a connection with a particular charity there, and then you can go and start doing the work. You're following the imam in a silent salah, and the imam forgets that he's leading, so the people follow don't hear him say Allah Akbar, but they can see him making movements. What's your opinion on memorizing mutun? I used to say before that one mutton, my teachers used to say, one mutton of every science needs to be memorized. This is something that's necessary. But then later on, what I found from my own experience, and I also heard Sheikh Hatim only say this, that if you're gonna specialize in something and study something long term, then you don't have to memorize, because you're going to be going over it again and again and again, and then it kind of like embeds itself. However, this is my own personal thing on this. I think every subject, you should memorize, not verbatim memorize, but memorize it in your own way. So if you memorize your own way, it's like you know all the concepts, you know all the discussions, and you can explain it to someone. If you've understood and memorized the understanding comprehension of a particular book, and you can break it down to someone like that, that would be sufficient of memorization. Word for word memorization, not everyone's good. I'm not good at it. So then min ben is a kind of like zaida. Then yeah, what's the difference between saying directly ta'zim and min ta'zim? So min actually gives more emphasis to it, ta'keed. Yeah, so like emphasis, emphasizing something. Like you know, they say قالوا ما أنزل الله من شيء ما أنزل الله من شيء ما أنزل الله من كتاب. Yeah, ما أنزل على بشر من كتاب على بشر من شيء. So this min over here is تعظيم, emphasis. Yeah, ما من إله إلا الله. So it's like emphasizing تأكيد. Do the people following stay where they are, or do they follow them? Just follow the Imam, inshallah. As long as you know what the Imam is doing, hearing the Imam is not necessary. As long as the whole point of hearing is so that you can follow his movements. That's the idea. MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair. Purple plants for your beautiful donation. May Allah bless you. Ameen. And may Allah make this sadaqah jariyah for you as well. Jazakallah khair means a lot to me. We have hit the 100K followers, guys, 100K subscribers. Alhamdulillah, with your kind du'as and your donations, support of the channel, mashallah. May I bless all of you guys. It means a lot, Purple Plants. أحدث عمر ibn Luhay تعظيم. Here seems like it has a hidden mahzuf in it. أي من تعظيم لها. Is this a balagha rule for masdar? أحدث عمرو بن لحي في الحيوانات من التعظيم. Yeah, so you would have to have a sila there. Yeah, so ta'zim laha. So this is a very common thing in Arabic where you might say something where you have things that are mahdhuf, like you say, for example, Zaydun fil bayt. So you have a mahdhuf there, Zaydun mustaqarrun fil bayt. Irfan B, for a second I was like, why isn't Mufti drinking tea? It's Ramadan, bro. I feel like, you know, I've got, you know, a very big sort of like desire to drink tea at the moment, but I can't. Any tips for memorizing hadith? You know what? Set yourself a time and just memorize, and don't try to memorize too much at one go. Memorize like one hadith a day. Yeah, one hadith a day. And then make yourself like a routine where you go over it all over again. I also sleep a bit during the night, but I felt really bad that I did not do loads more. Fear of missing out, that others are doing more. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, you don't worry about it. That's the thing. Just do whatever you can, inshallah, and Allah is going to reward you according to your efforts, inshallah. Is it allowed for a parent to pay the zakat al-fitr of each household member? Yes, they can. Aqib Hussein, wa alaikum assalam. How has your Ramadan been? Very good, well, mashallah. This year Ramadan's gone so fast. I don't know if it's gone fast for you guys, but for me, it's gone very fast. And I think it's gone probably super fast this time because I've been so busy in preparing the lessons for the summary of the Quran. They literally take me, most of my day is taken up in that. Yeah, most of my day is taken up in that. And then I've got like when I've got talks, bayans to do, and then I've got, you know, other commitments as well. So it kind of like just really eats up, and I enjoy it so much. Alhamdulillah, I enjoy it. So the moment I'm reading on Surah Al-Hud. So Surah Hud is the next, inshallah. Hopefully it should be finished by tomorrow. Maybe I'll try to get recorded by tomorrow, if not Monday then. Can a ma'adhur give luqma during Taraweeh? Yes. Is it possible to post the link to the video with Min Bayaniya? Yes. Let me just, well, I'll just give you the whole playlist. I'll give you the whole playlist, and then you can in your own time, you can have a look at them, inshallah. Actually, I don't know if I've actually done a Min Bayaniya one. Have a look in this list, inshallah. If I haven't, then maybe I'll have to do one. So Are you allowed to put up price tags for pork or alcohol in a grocery store? Yes. If a job contract is long, do we have to read through all of it? No, you don't have to. Someone broke a nafal prayer after starting it. Now has standing become a wajib on him when he does the qada? It is very strange that Ibn Abidin did tawakkuf on this. Someone broke a nafal prayer after starting it. Now has standing become wajib upon him. So, I mean, see, the issue with this masla would be generally nafal can be prayed sitting down. Okay, so that's you have option of standing or sitting. Or standing is not considered to be obligatory. The problem is that if a person is in a state like if a person is let's say praying a fard salat and a person is able to stand, they have to stand. And if a person isn't able to stand, then they have to sit. Then they sit. And then if all of a sudden in the middle of the salat they're able to stand after they weren't able to stand, then what happens in this situation? Do they have to restart the salat again, or can they simply just stand up and continue their salat? So this is where there's a difference, and most likely that's where Ibn Abidin is going from. I haven't like read this in detail in Ibn Abidin, so I'll have to check it out, see what he says on this masla. But most likely that's probably the issue. That is when a qada is necessary, is qada necessary in a particular state, in a particular fashion that you you made it necessary, like the musafir issue. The musafir was he missed 2 rakats, or he missed his dhuhr 2 rakats, and he has to make it up as 2 rakats. So it seems as though that's probably what he's looking at. But I wouldn't be able to expand on what Ibn Abidin says. Irfan, mashallah, jazakallah khair. Thank you very much for your kind donation. May Allah bless you, Irfan. May Allah bless your family. May Allah put barakah in your time, in your efforts, in your kind donation. It means a lot to me, guys, when you guys support my channel. Inshallah, the next milestone is 1 million subscribers. Inshallah, we're going to get that in a few years, inshallah. And mashallah, so many people have benefited from the reciting Quran as well. So those of you guys supporting the channel, Sadaqah Jariyah, everyone who's learning. So mashallah, today someone told me that their son has actually started to be able to read the Quran on their own after reaching 70 videos of the Learn How to Read Quran series. And mashallah, it made me so proud that there's people out there who are learning from these videos. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair, Irfan. How big of a mistake in salah requires sajda sahu? So what I would suggest is watch my video on sajda sahu. Yeah, so if you watch my video on sajda sahu, so sahu, watch that inshallah. Hopefully that should help. If we don't have to read through all of the job contract, how do we know if it? I think you asked this question before, Pentry. This is the question you asked before and I answered it before as well. So basically, look, when someone makes a contract with you, you don't have to read all the contract. As long as you agree anything in the contract that is broken, then you're liable to it. That's the issue that is. So it is good to read it. Definitely, you should try to read it just in case later on, you don't want to cause any issue. But if you agree to something, so it's like when a person, for example, like buys an item in Hanafi fiqh, and a person buys an item, and the other guy says, "Look, I'm going to sell it to you with all of its problems, right? Bought, sold as seen. So don't come back to me and say that there's this problem with it. You can do that in Hanafi fiqh." So the idea is that if a person has mentioned conditions like this, and as long as those conditions are not categorically breaking Islamic rules, that's fine. Yeah. Generally, a lot of contracts, there's no sort of like consequence of the contracts because everyone gets on with it. You buy a washing machine, you don't read the contract, you get on with it. Very, very rarely will there be an issue that's raised on these matters. So I would suggest, Pentry, study business and trade. I mentioned this to you before as well, if you remember. Study business trade. Honestly, I mean, you seem to have a lot of questions about this kind of thing, and you'd be interested in it. Once you've understood how business and trade works in Hanafi fiqh, then inshallah, it's going to make all these things going to make sense. Yusha, if I mention maf'ul bihi in the beginning, I don't really have to directly mention it twice. That's right. Jazakallah khair, and yours, the Quran videos, excellent, mashallah, Jazakallah khair. You're benefiting from them, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I mean, I benefit loads from them because, I mean, obviously, I listen to the whole Quran and I understand, the verses, but having it all together and bringing it, like giving it a one whole picture so that people can see what the whole Quran is. There's actually various ways that this can be done. At the moment, I'm doing it this way, and inshallah, once I complete the Quran, then I'm going to do it a different way. There's many ways that scholars have in the past have done thematic, or this kind of mawdu'i, tafsir mawdu'i they call it. Okay, let's have a look at some curious cat questions. Let's see what you're going to be asking here. Salam, can we give zakat al-fitr by paying money to the masjid box labeled for zakat al-fitr, or must we buy food and give it to someone in need? Yes, salam. Yes, you can give money. Give the money equivalent instead. Yeah, so zakat al-fitr, according to Hanafis, you can give the money equivalent. So now, what is the ruling on putting clothes? Okay, to add to my question, okay, so that's question here on Assalamu alaikum. According to the Hanafi school, if a person performs an act which solely relates to Islam, are they judged as Muslim if they die? I don't understand. If someone performs an act which solely relates to Islam, are they judged as a Muslim if they die? Sorry, I don't understand. If you explain that in more detail. What is the ruling on selling relics of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? It would be permissible. Okay, Salam, what is the ruling of putting clothes that have pictures and cartoons on babies? Salam, there would be scope for it as long as they are not immoral images. Yeah, so kids' clothing, there's scope for it. Okay, Salam alaikum. Cow can be shared 1/7 between family. If there's less, let's say only 5 members, can one member take the other 2 shares by himself? Salam, yes. If someone makes a promise that he is not going to go on holiday abroad or any other country until he does Hajj, but now he realizes that he can't do Hajj because of the vaccine, can he do Hajj next year? Okay, what does lillah actually mean? Is it same as sadaqah? So lillah means a gift without any reason. Sadaqah can have 2 meanings. Meanings, one is like lillah, exactly the same. Number 2 is like zakat, exactly the same. Okay. Okay. Next question. Check out what you guys are saying. What happened to the Arabic podcast? Oh yeah, Arabic podcast. I've been extremely busy, and the problem. So that's why it's very difficult for me to continue on a weekly basis. I'm going to try to switch days. I'm thinking maybe if I switch days and just restrict it to just a 1-hour session, that might be a bit more easier for me. But at the moment, it's a bit difficult with all my hectic schedule to have that. But I would really like to continue it. In fact, I would really like if someone else could continue it, and I just attend on some occasions. That would be really good. That was the main aim. I wanted to start it. I wanted to start it so that people out there who are passionate about learning Arabic or speaking Arabic or have reached a certain level can take over the podcast. I benefit a lot from your videos and answers. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair, Yusha. Zara Khan, do you give zakat on pensions which you have through work? So what kind of a pension is it? If you can explain the kind of pension, do you have basically, if you can tell me this, Do you have control of where the pension goes? Yeah, what kind of investments it goes into? If you have that, then there is zakat. You give zakat on it, and if there isn't, then you don't give zakat on it. So if you basically give it from work, but you don't know where it's being invested, you have no control over it, then there's no zakat on it. How can I become a Muslim? What I would suggest, Julius, is try to get in contact with someone local to you, a Muslim, maybe an organization or a mosque, and they'll be able to tell you the right steps. The idea is simple. All you have to do is, as long as you believe that that Allah is the only God, and He has no sons, and He has no parents, and He is the one that's all powerful, knows everything, and He will hold you accountable on the day of judgment for everything that you've done, and that He has sent down a book which is known as the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, is the final messenger. As long as you believe in that package, then technically you come as a Muslim. And then to make it official, you simply say the code, which is, I bear witness that there's no one worthy of worship except Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. Right. So as long as you have say that and you believe in what I've just told you, then you become Muslim. Is it permissible to make dua that is impossible to happen, like may Allah give entire humanity that? So there's ikhtilaf of ulama on this. I mentioned this in my dua course. There's ikhtilaf of the ulama on this. So majority of the ulama say no, that a person should not ask for something which is so one is, for example, impossible, and so one is, so may Allah give entire humanity hidayah. That's not impossible, but that's something which Allah has already said that He will not give hidayah, as in there will not be everyone that will become Muslim. Yeah. وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ. So this is where like scholars differ on this, but generally they say that a person, if he makes a dua that Allah give entire mankind hidayah, a person means by that, oh Allah, give as many people as He can hidayah. Yeah, many people. That's the idea. You want Islam, to be ad-dinu kulluhu lillah. Do you know any private tutors that can teach different books? I want to advance my adab. I feel it is quite weak as my madrasa doesn't go deeply into it. I know some guys in Pakistan. If you're willing to study on Skype or something like that, then possibly. If you know Urdu especially, then you can email me, and inshallah I'll try to get in contact with them. Please upload a video on Min Bayaniya, as you haven't uploaded one yet. Okay, inshallah in the future I will try to make a video on Min Bayaniya. If someone gets opportunity to apply for Hajj and they meet Hajj requirements but they turn it down, is it sinful? This opportunity to apply for Hajj and they meet Hajj requirements but they turn it down. So they won't be sinful until they die and they haven't done the Hajj. That's when the sin will be attached. Zara, when donating the interest which comes into a saving account, can you give it back to create roads, pavements? Yeah, you can give it charitable causes. Muhammad alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan. I'm very well, thank you, my brother Muhammad. Hope you're well. Hope your Ramadan's going good. Brug tafsir recommendation. I've heard of Kathir Sa'adi. What I would suggest is, if you are not familiar with Arabic language, if you're not familiar with the science of tafsir, then I wouldn't suggest you going into tafsir ibn Kathir. Or what I would suggest is going to a very, very basic tafsir. First of all, trying to read the translation of the Quran. Don't jump into tafsirs. Tafsir, for example, like translation, Gracious Quran is a very, very good way to go. Mufti Taqi Uthmani's Noble Quran is a very good way to go as well. These two I would definitely recommend. Muhammad Hussein Sheikh, or how's Ramadan? Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair, my brother Muhammad Hussein. How's your Ramadan going? Zara Khan, I don't really know where it is being invested. I'm just aware that certain percentage, yes, then there's no zakat on that. I was looking for private tutors, and surprisingly, there are a lot of them from Karachi. Yes. Yeah. If I study business and trade, how do I know how to apply by modern standards? So you have to study according to the modern standards, isn't it? So if you study business trade and your teacher is a good teacher, your teacher can actually implement it for you in modern application. In witr qunut, can you read multiple sunnah du'as like in Taraweeh when the Imam is reading qunut but elongated? Yes, you can. An offshot to Rizwan's question, in the dua Rabbi ja'alni, the verse which mentions and forgive the believers on the day of judgment. How do we understand this if we know Muslims will be punished? So is that, are you asking? Oh, so I see what you're saying. So basically, what you're saying is, so to forgive them, isn't it? So again, this is one of those things where the scholars say this is where you hope Allah will forgive as as He wants. Yeah. So you're pleading with Allah. So to plead with Allah is something which is permissible for something. Yeah. So, like for example, Ibrahim alayhi salam pleaded with Allah to forgive his father. When Allah told Ibrahim alayhi salam that his father is going to die in kufr, then he stopped. Yeah. So you are allowed to plead, because we know that, you know, by you saying believers, it could mean every single one of them. It could mean a lot of them. Would you recommend starting off memorizing a short hadith like the book Bulugh al-Maram? Yeah, you can start that. Did tashahhud reveal to the Prophet ﷺ before Isra al-Mi'raj or during it? I don't know, brother. I don't know. Tashahhud does not seem to be something that was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ. There's no authentic hadith about this. Is something that the Prophet ﷺ, he taught the Sahaba. As for the narration, you're probably thinking about where the angel said this and then Allah said this and the Prophet said this. That narration is very, very weak. Mu'eed wa alaykum assalam, ahla wa sahlan. Is it more rewardable to pray tahajjud in jama'ah or alone? Alone. Yeah. Yeah, alone is that's what's been established from the Sahaba, alone. In the UK, children born from 2002-11 were given a child trust fund with a certain amount of money that is increasing. Is this halal or does it depend on if the money is invested? Yeah, it all depends upon what the money was invested in. What should we do if the Imam has given salam really quickly and I'm still far from finishing both the tashahuds? Finish the tashahud, then give salam. Yeah, Allah. Right. Let's check out some more curious cat ones. Okay. Allah. Okay, so here a question. Wajahat Ali Ilahi, due to your unfair and unjust treatment, your works are not growing up. May Allah give you hidayah. Your works are not growing up. May Allah give you hidayat. Ameen. Jazakallah khair for your beautiful dua. If a woman is doing i'tikaf and air conditioning stops working in that particular room, can she move to another room? Yes, that would be permissible. Okay. He must take the vaccine which he is against. Is there no way around this for him? Okay, so is it okay to measure the solar year, because this is my first time paying, inshallah, and I'm going off of when my banking organization lists as my start date of account. Before this, I was a younger teen who whatever the date is, find out the Islamic equivalent and use that. Otherwise, you can fix it to any date like 1st of Ramadan. Okay, number 2, question 2. He is hopefully, I assume, but it looks like he doesn't think he'll be getting it back every time he has asked. Okay, number 2. So if he gets it back, he can backdate all the years. If I think I may have had past zakat due, should I use current nisab or try to find nisab with the past nisab, which you can find on NZF website? Okay, I have been next question. Right, so in the UK, what should we do if the Imam has given salam? Some narrations mention some Sahabis considered the tashahhud as part of the Quran. So when the Sahaba say something was considered part of the Quran, what does that actually mean? Does that mean that it was considered to be wahi munazzal? Or does it mean that it was considered to be part of the Quran in the sense it was something which was taught to the people like the Quran was? This is where the scholars like dua qunut or other sort of like du'as that were mentioned to them. Yeah, so this would be, that's why there's over, like from why I remember, there's over 14 different types of tashahhud that have been reported. 14 different types. So they can't all be like part of the Quran. About the child trust fund, what if we don't know how the money was invested? So I mean, what I would suggest is try to find out. You can go on, if you type in Google Mufti Faraz Adam and child trust fund, right? He's looked into this. If it's not halal, how can we best spend this money to not incur Allah's wrath? Give it in charity. Yeah, so you give it in charity and that's it. Jazakallah khair, London Ramsey. Ahlan wa sahlan, mashallah. Long time no see, my brother. May Allah bless you. I'm very, very well. Thank you very much. Looking good. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. And I'm sure you're looking better than me. When then we'll continue in this Q&A session. May Allah bless you. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much, London Ramsey. Inshallah, London Ramsey, when I come to London, I'm going to go out for a munch. Really means a lot. Your donations, guys, remember, you supporting the channel, helping, means a lot to me. Alhamdulillah. Purple plants, we also had to do this for one family member. The father had to direct debit £10 per month into the child trust fund because government gave £500 starting. The actual amount in the account is lower than what was given. As it says, it was invested. Is the money halal? How can the child use the money once reaching? So so if you're unsure, I mean, that's what I said to you. I don't know exactly what was invested, where it was invested. A lot of child trust funds, unfortunately, are invested in bonds and invested in like riba-based organizations. This is why I look into it. The capital that your father has invested, that would be halal for him. Whatever amount he has invested, that would be halal. It's just a surplus. It's just a surplus beyond that. So if the government has given 500, I'd assume that would be halal. But then anything that has been profited, that would be the grey dubious area. If you can find out if it's been invested in Sharia compliant organizations, businesses, then it's fine. Otherwise, I would avoid it. If you have to travel, but it's after Fajr, are you excused from fasting? So the Hanafi madhab says no. Other madhab say yes. Hanafi madhab says no, you must fast. But what I would suggest is this: fast. If you find it very difficult in the journey, you can break your fast, and you only have to make up one fast. Right. So the Hanafi say that if you break a fast on a journey, you only have to make up one. Right. Okay, let's check a curious cut then. Okay, I have been calculating Nisab for zakat based on the value of gold, 87.5 grams. I have recently read that the Hanafi school thought stipulation Nisab is based on silver. And this is around £400 today. I am 21 years old and have had more than £400 in my account. 16. Do I need to backdate? Yes. I have seen many masajid emphasize on the 27th night Ramadan. If Laylatul Qadr may fall on the odd night of Lesser, what is the importance? This is based on some views, but it isn't categorical. It's not categorical that it's on the 27th night. Search for Laylatul Qadr in the last 10 nights. Is it sinful to say I'm hungry and thirsty on fasting? No. Salam, there are two types of loans a university student can take: tuition fee loan, which the university receives, and a maintenance loan, which the student receives. Are either of these loans permissible? Um, what's salam? Do you have to give them back with interest? Question. Assalamu alaikum. I heard that it is sinful for a person who is in a gathering where there is backbiting happening and he does not leave speaking against backbiting. Is this true? If so, what would be the best thing to do? Okay, I think I've answered this one. Is it allowed for a small part of the ankle bone to be exposed for a woman in salah? If yes. So basically, the area that you wash in salat can be exposed. Yeah, so you wash in wudu up to your ankles, including your ankles, then that can be exposed. Right. Should the lower garment be above the ankle when praying salat, and is it makruh to fold the trousers? So for men, I assume this question is for men. Yeah, for men. So for men, it is preferred to have it above the ankles. And is it makruh to fold the ankles? If it is folded in a way that a person wouldn't walk on the streets like that, then it is makruh. Otherwise, folding is fine. If you're okay with folding your trousers and walking the streets, are there any particular du'as one can recite before during labor ease? I'm not sure, Some scholars mention reading Surah Yasin. Can you please explain in your next live stream how nikah and walima procedure usually works from start to end? Okay, so nikah and walima procedure. So nikah and walima procedure. What happens in nikah and walima? So nikah basically is where a man and a woman, they want to get married. So the man and usually what happens, this I'm telling you, like this is like with all the cultural sort of like way that it's done. You have an imam and you have at least two witnesses, two male witnesses, and the man and the woman, each of them will say to each other that they have accepted marriage with each other, and the man has agreed to give the woman a dowry of how much ever she wants, and the witnesses hear it, nikah is done. That's all that has to happen in nikah. Then the walima is basically the food that is normally distributed to the people after consummation. So after the husband and wife are now have been alone together, and then after that they'll have a walima, maybe the next day, next week, or whenever they have that, and then they just distribute food to people. It could be relatives, friends, it could be just random people, just to kind of let everyone know that this marriage is legitimized. That's basically what needs to happen. Okay, if you have to travel but it's after Fajr, are you excused from fasting? Okay, no. Okay, so if the amount in the account is lower than what was given in total, it should be okay. Yeah, that should be fine. What is the first book you suggest for Usul Fiqh? The first book I would suggest in Usul Fiqh, I mean, my teacher used to say, this is my teacher used to say, my teachers say, basically what should happen in this is, the teacher should explain to you in his own words what Usul Fiqh is all about. So if they can explain it in your own words and you write it all down, that is the best way to understand the whole overview of how Usul Fiqh works with a bit of implementation. Then when you start a book like, for example, Usul al-Shashi or Matl Manar or anything like that, then it becomes easier to understand. So I would suggest a good book to start with would be something like Al-Mujiz, right, by what's his name? As'ad. Yeah. Londoners, I'm going to holiday to Jordan and I've come across hadith about not visiting the Dead Sea, and some scholars deem it to a place where there's no hadith about not visiting the Dead Sea to my knowledge. I've actually been to the Dead Sea. I've swum in the Dead Sea. So I've never come across any hadith that says don't swim in the Dead Sea. So again, these hadith which are to do with not going to the places where adhab came, you have to be 100% sure that adhab came there. So the Dead Sea is like any heavily salted sea that's found around the world. There's so many different types of seas that are identical to Dead Sea, yeah, which has a high content of salt in there. So the Dead Sea area is massive. It's not like it's not like a mile long. It's literally 10, 15 miles long. Very, very big. That's why it will be fine. I wouldn't see a problem with it. Wa alaikum assalam, Sarah. Ahlan wa sahlan. Hope your Ramadan went well. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. My Ramadan is going very well. I hope your Ramadan is going well as well. I was suggested Ilm Usul Fiqh by Abdul Wahab. Abdul Wahab Khalaf is very good. It's very nice. I've read that. Although it's not like necessarily Hanafi, it's more like kind of like a modern kind of work. It's more like it's something similar to Abdul Karim Zaidan's work, Wajiz, but it's very good. It's got some very good like application. Right, to min ash-sharri fi nas. Does the same apply if one was muqim at Fajr, then traveled at Zuhr, for instance, so they don't even intend to fast? Is this allowed in the other madhabs? Yes. So some of the madhabs, they differ exactly what time you travel. If it's before Zawal, if it's after Zawal. Yeah. So there would be scope for that. I'm not too sure about exactly the details of what the other madhabs say. So you'd have to check out with a scholar of the Shafi or Maliki madhab or Hanbali madhab. I try to put emphasis on shar with nas. Is that right? So ra'aytu min ash-sharri fi nas. So you basically are saying ra'aytu ash-sharra fi nasi. Yeah. So ra'aytu ash-sharra fi nasi. So you're saying basically I saw definitely min ash-sharri. So min ash-sharri here could mean as well min tab'idi as well. Min ash-sharri. I saw a certain type of shar fi nas. It could mean that as well. Generally, min bayaniya is used. You can use it like that, but because tab'id can apply over here as well. If you were to put a nafi there, ma ra'aytu min ash-sharri fi nas, then that would definitely be bayaniya. What does it mean to hang garments below the ankles only sinful out of arrogance? How can it be worn arrogantly? So good question. So what a lot of the hadith, if you really want to understand them, you have to understand the Arab society. So one of the things about Arab society was rich people used to let their garments drag on the ground to show they were rich. This was like a cultural thing, and it was like an arrogant cultural thing. So they would let their garments drag. So when Islam came and the Prophet ﷺ saw rich people doing this, he put like bans on people doing certain things which rich people used to do. So one of the things rich people used to do was they expected people to stand up for them. So whenever there was like a gathering and they came, they expected everyone to stand up for them. And the Prophet banned that. He goes, don't. And he put like these bans on people because of, people, the Prophet ﷺ wanting to stop people from trying to create a culture of the elite, that the elite need to be treated or they expect to be treated in a certain way which is superior to everyone else. So that's why you find these types of narration. This was one of them where the trousers are dragging. This was the issue. So if you don't understand the context and you just read a hadith, sometimes you might take the hadith out of context and think to yourself, oh, this is how we're supposed to live our life and this is exactly how it is. But then when you read the other hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, Allah will not look at a person who lets their clothes drag on the ground out of arrogance. Congratulations. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. Ramzi. I'm going to, inshallah, celebrate after Ramadan, inshallah. I'm going to celebrate, inshallah, after Ramadan. Haven't really 100% decided exactly how that's going to be yet. Jazakallah khair, purple pants. Take care, inshallah. Wa alaikum assalam. Dead Sea sounds dead. See? Can we recite Quran from our phones without wudu? As long as you don't touch the Arabic writing on there. Aman, Dead Sea, Wadi Mujib, and Wadi Rum. Anywhere else you would recommend I visit? I haven't been to Jordan, so I wouldn't be able to say, but I've been to Palestine. So the Palestine side of it, there's like a massive. It's open to ta'wil. You can do either min tab'idiyya, not tab'idiyya with dad. It's like Banya is like another word for a positive version of Zaida, which yes. So it's basically Zaida, that's what it is. Min Bayani is a Zaida, but it's just given like a specific term. Final question: if someone has very bad athlete's foot and fungi peeling skin on the feet, and they don't like masa socks, what can they do for washing the feet? Uh, they can wash around those toes. Yeah, so they can wash around those toes, and they don't have to get those toes wet if it's that case. مولانا نسكي أهلا وسهلا وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته شيخنا ما رأيت من المسانيد من الإمام حنيفة يعني إسناده وغير ذلك. نعم. So the Masanid of Imam Hanifa, if you want a really good book on the Masanid, there's actually a good book which is called, which we studied in Madrasa, which is called Musnad Imam A'adham. And there's actually a bigger collection by Al-Khawarizmi. So Al-Khawarizmi has compiled many Masanid together. And I think it's called Musnad al-Khawarizmi or Masanid al-Khawarizmi. That's where all of Abu Hanifa's Asanid have been gathered. And there's a scholar in Bangladesh who has actually written, I think it's like how many volumes? Many volumes. I haven't seen it yet. I've just seen on social media the book, and many people have told me about it. And he's collected as many narrations as he can that go back to Imam Hanifa from various sources. Yeah, and from Canada, Maulana, I forgot his name now. I skipped my mind. Who wrote who started writing English commentary on Bukhari. So he's written on Imam Abu Hanifa, and he came to UK a few months ago, and he's basically compiled Imam Abu Hanifa's narrations from Khawarizmis and from others. Making an English dua inside the Nafal Salah, yeah, permissible. Miftah Salam, if someone has severe vaginal itching, thrush, and feel it's because of dehydration, can they break their fast to drink lots of water? If it's something, I would suggest, if a woman is suffering from that, then I would suggest her to speak to a Muslim doctor. And if the Muslim doctor says that, look, this is the treatment for it, she doesn't want to drink water and then realize that wasn't really the best thing that she could have done. She could have done a different treatment. And if the doctor tells her that, look, this is it, then she can break her fast, inshallah. And then she just makes it up later on. Mr. H, wa alaikum assalam, on Uruk, which Balagh course should one study first? Ilm al-Ma'ani, Ilm al-Bayan. If you have studied grammar and you're happy with Arabic grammar, then I would suggest start with Ilm al-Ma'ani. If you are not really comfortable with Arabic grammar yet, then start with Ilm al-Badi. I use your hadith explanation you do with my family. My two daughters especially benefit from these explanations. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Beautiful, mashallah. This is the kind of things that make me happy. That people are benefiting from the videos I make and the small little contribution that I give, on my YouTube channel to try to explain the deen. People benefit from it. And remember, if there's any mistakes I've made in anything, please point it out to me so I can rectify them, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. May Allah bless you and your family and your daughters. What's the ruling on making a dua in English in sajda or nafal salah? It's permissible. What is firasa? What is firasa, bro? Allah. The man himself, Brother Muhammad, is asking, what is firasa? Allah, that is firasa. Is that question like a philosophical question? What is firasa? Subhanallah. Just generally, for those people besides Brother Muhammad, for those people who want to know firasa. Firasa is basically where a person is able to see an insight into something where normal people can't see it. Yeah, so this is known as like a very in-depth analysis of something, or being able to see beyond what normal people can see. It's from the word tafarrasa, tafarrasu. So this is something which generally the Prophet ﷺ said, al-mu'min yandur bi nurillah. A believer sees with the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he can so not only can you see into the future, not as in like you can tell the future, but you can tell what's going to happen with this. Like, AI, Chat GPT has taken off, hasn't it? And like these new AIs that are coming out, Chat GPT 4's come out, and then Auto Chat GPT. So all these new things are coming out. Person with firasa would be able to see this and tell within the next few months or next few years what's going to happen with this. How is it going to impact people's deen? How is it going to impact people? That would be firasa. And there's different levels of firasa that person. Even non-Muslims can have firasa, but their firasa is not a firasa which will help them morally. Their firasa would normally be a firasa that would help them in business or in worldly things. So that's like a time firasa. And then you have like other types of firasa as well. So you can have a time firasa. You can have, for example, like maybe even harms, the benefits and harms of something. So someone can look at something and tell that this is going to harm them. This is like I think this is a science where there's not much done about this science. Science requires, I think, a lot of people in the realm of spirituality. They go into these kind of things. Why your religion teach? Why your religion teaches to eat meat when apes are non-veg? Okay, why? So I don't understand the Sina. But generally, I mean, humans have bodies that are designed to eat meat. That's how bodies are designed. So we have the teeth, we have the digestive system. We are not apes. We don't believe that we're apes. That would be the answer to that. يوشع سيد جربنا عليك الصدق in تركيب the شبه الجملة becomes حال. So yeah, so جربنا الصدق متلبسا عليك. Yeah, الصدق. So yeah, so that would be that one تركيبة that could be حال. Yeah, so جربنا الصدق. And if it came afterwards, it could be a sifa. So the reason why you make it into a hal, it comes before, is because you can't have a sifa that comes before the mastar. So if it was jarrabna sidq alayka, that would be treated as jarrabna as-sidq al-thabit, or sidq even, you can say alayka. I read people dug up Imam Jazuli's body and took it with them to wars, and they never lost. Do you know? I've never heard of this. Never come across it. I mean, it wouldn't be permissible from a Shari point of view. Is it differed upon amongst Hanafis to make dua in another language during sujood of nafal? Yeah, there is a difference. My teachers, many of them were on the permissibility of it. In fact, I mean, a lot of the evidences seem to indicate permissibility of dua in another language, but later scholars would be possibly differing in this. And the reason they would differ is because people who make dua in salat have to remember you cannot make a dua in salat of something which you can ask from someone else. Yeah, so you can't say something like, "Oh Allah, marry me off to this girl." Right, that's something you can ask someone else in life. Right, you can ask that girl's father. So that's why the Hanafis say any human speech that takes place in salat, it can potentially void the salat. So to save them from voiding the salat, they say stick to the du'as that are in the Quran, in the Hadith, and passed down from the Sahaba. Just stick to those. All right, guys, we're gonna finish it there, inshallah. There's still some questions left on Curious Cat. Okay, another question. Is the husband meant to be there for the actual walima or not? It's up to him. So we did offer the trust to the heaven. Okay. Would it be proper to risk sacrifice your life? Would it be proper risk sacrifice your life for just a chance at saving someone else's life if they're not a believer? I don't know. No idea. Salam, is using Starling Bank allowed? There is a 0.05% AER earning interest on the Salam, so long as the interest is given away in charity. Do decent men even exist? Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Which Sira book do you most recommend in English? Okay, I think that's it. All right. Okay. Sir, our teeth is more close to vegetarian and have very small canines, and gorilla is very. I don't know. So my brother, the Sina, I think maybe speak to a doctor about this. Doctors would tell you that we can eat both. You know, our bodies can digest meat just as it can digest vegetables. So it seems as though our bodies are okay with meat. And even though our teeth, it doesn't matter about the teeth necessarily, if the body can digest both. So is the Qatarun Nada course on Uruk almost complete, or is there a long way to go yet? Yeah, long way to go. So at the moment, the price is set, but the price will go up. So at the moment, it's early bird price. But once I reach probably about halfway, maybe I'm gonna put the price up too. So that's why if you read it, it'll just say early bird price. Jazakallah khair, you're welcome. I crave milk tea during Ramadan. Bizarre. Is it like phantom, like people have phantom arm syndrome? You got like phantom tea syndrome, phantom tea in your mouth syndrome. Have you ever heard of an incident 100-ish 100-ish years ago, where apparently some graves of Sahaba were getting filled with water, so they dug them up, moved them, they saw their bodies were still. Yeah, this is a very common thing. In fact, bodies being intact, just a general comment on that. Bodies being intact does not mean the person in the grave was pious, by the way, because bodies being intact is actually a phenomenon that's found in other cultures as well. Yeah, um, so bodies being intact, this is you can research it, Google it, you'll find it. Christians have this phenomenon as well, and Buddhists have this phenomenon as well. So it's not necessarily like bodies being intact doesn't necessarily mean the person was pious or anything. But obviously, we believe Sahaba were pious, so but that was just a side note. Chimps are omnivores. We can digest meat, sir, but science admits that a person will not live healthy eating. I disagree. I probably would have to disagree with you on that. I mean, I can live by just eating meat. In fact, there are things inside of meat that actually help a pregnant woman. Studies were found on a fetus. Certain types of proteins you cannot get in plants, and now they're starting to realize that these vegan diets are very very harmful in the long run, because your body starts to lack very very important um, um, vitamins, minerals, and certain proteins, amino acids, these kind of peptides, these things which are necessary for your body to function correctly. So the Sina, we would have to disagree with you, my friend. I really enjoyed and learned a lot from the Arabic grammar and Tarkib course, more than what I learned while studying Hidat al Nahu. I look forward to taking more courses. Jazakallah khair, Mr. H. May Allah bless you. Thank you for your beautiful words. Vladimir Lenin's body is still preserved in Russia. Oh yeah, I heard about that. They've literally kind of like put him up on display, haven't they? Recently, I heard a sheikh say that the pagans didn't believe their idols were the real providers. They believed Allah was, but made dua to idols. Yeah, this was shirk. So there were different types of pagans. You have to understand. There were various types of pagans. And this is what the Quran says. One of the types of shirk was they used to believe the idols are intercessors to Allah. Like the idols can give you private access to what Allah has without going through Allah. Yeah, and we don't believe in that. Yeah. ما نعبدهم إلا ليقربونا إلى الله زلفى. That's what they used to say. That would be so. Basically, shirk is if you have given forcefully any of Allah's unique attributes or powers to anything besides Allah, like idols. Like for example, the Hindus do. The Hindus believe in this as well. Many Hindus, they believe the idols. They believe in God, but the idols are means, because we're not pure enough to worship God. We have to go through other gods. Like we have to go through these idols, avatars, to be able to reach this. How do I find someone to study? Do you know someone online? I don't know, unfortunately. Someone that can teach you in English. If you know Urdu, do you know Urdu? Maybe. Is dua to other than Allah shirk? So if you make dua that only Allah can grant, then that would be shirk. If you make dua to someone other than Allah that only Allah can grant, then that would be effectively shirk. But otherwise, it won't be. Meat has a very high cholesterol and fat, and if we only eat that, then it will be very bad for us. We have to eat vegetables in order to take fibers and vitamins. Maybe we differ. I'm not an expert on food, and the Sina, I think maybe you're not an expert on food as well, and think we leave it at that. Anyway, guys, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much for tuning in today. May Allah bless all of you guys. And I love meat as well, by the way. Yeah, I unfortunately I cannot. Even if you tell me that my teeth are made for vegetables, my teeth are gonna say to me, no, you are made to eat meat. Make sure you eat a steak. And I love cow's meat. I love cow's meat. Like probably the best steaks. I mean, Angus beef is probably the best. Angus beef. Wagyu. I'm gonna taste Wagyu, but Wagyu just seems a bit too expensive, guys. So I know I'm making your mouth salivate here. But I love cow's meat a lot. I mean, one of my friends has given me dried meat, and it is just so lovely. Yeah, it's so lovely eating it. And honestly, I don't know how many of you guys love cow's meat. Like, be honest. How many of you love cow's meat? You like pork? Fair enough. If you like it, then it's fine. It's up to you. But I love beef. Honestly, this is so nice. Brother, only Allah can grant you anything ultimately. I mean, like you can ask someone to give you a lift. They can grant you a lift, can't they? So if you call your friend, you're making a dua to your friend. Really, that's what dua is. So they give you a lift in your car. So yes, Allah gives them the ability to give you a lift, but that's the point, Pentry. So then don't ask your friend for a lift, and don't ask your friend for water, and don't ask someone for directions. He be for conflict resolution. Killing an animal for eating is not good. I mean, you like pork, so if you like pork, my friend, how can you now all of a sudden say that you don't like eating meat? Jerky, always want to try. Beef jerky is really nice, guys. Trust me. Anyway, guys, take care, inshallah, and I will see you after Ramadan, inshallah. Have a wonderful time, inshallah. I'm just gonna finish on here. Okay, wait, but clarify one thing before you go. Wa alaikum salam. Quickly. I'm gonna have to go. Let's go off here. Q&A. What if a person makes dua to a person for something that only Allah can give you? Okay, I think I'm gonna have to block the Sina. Okay. Yeah. So again, if a person asks for a child from someone else, like for example, says to their next door neighbor, "Grant me a child without any means." Obviously, if there's means and they fornicate with them, that's a different thing. But grant me a child without any means, then that would be considered that they believe that that person has a power. Then that would be tantamount to shirk. That's the issue. If they did it out of ignorance, something like that, and there's some sort of like if they went to a doctor for IVF treatment and they say, "Grant me a child," then they know it's a means, isn't it? So as long as means are involved, it's not shirk. And they believe that Allah ultimately is the one that gives, and it's fine. Anyway, guys, take care, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.